friends. I hope everybody is having a fabulous day today. So, I am home, um, sick, but really, I'm not sick. I have kidney stones. So, that's amazing. And there's so many other symptoms that come along with that. It's a little too much TMI, so I'm not going to go there. But a lot of symptoms come from that. So, it's not been fun, but I'm here on my couch, and I figure why not talk to all you guys, right? So I hope everybody's having a great day today. And so today, I was thinking, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about relationships. And has any of you out there gotten to a point in your relationship where your resentment pile is big, right? It's big. Your anger, your resentment, it's this big pile that weighs on your shoulders, right? So, potentially, in cases like that too, you may not have very good communication because you used to, but it's gotten to a point now where your resentment pile is so big and overpowering that your communication is now lacking in your relationship. And you have a really hard time caring about how the other person feels or what they have to say, really, because you feel so hurt and lost. Everyone, as we've talked about so many times, everybody wants validation, right? Everybody wants validation for their feelings. And when we don't get it, we get angry and resentful and we add it to the pile. And sometimes we get so exhausted and so tired of arguing or holding up that wall, right, that we talked about the other day, holding up that wall between you and whatever the issue is or the problem is, because you're not backing down, but you get so exhausted that you finally back down. So whatever argument you and your spouse were having or you and your partner were having, it's lasted for a couple days, a week, whatever, and now I'm tired of it. So instead of actually fixing the problem or figuring out a way to communicate it, you just kind of give up. One person walks into the room and, might give you the little look or a smile, and you just break down and you forget, you don't forget. You put it on the back burner for now, right? We don't forget. Put it on the back burner for now. And you go about life and you're happy again, and you don't really talk about it. You just kind of sweep it under the rug, right? Until, a couple months go by, could be a couple days, weeks, months, could be, 6 months or more, right? And life's good or whatever. And then you go out for date night or you have that, time to talk, and it comes back up, right? It always comes back up, Or throughout those few months where you're getting along or whatever, that, your significant other or spouse maybe says or does something that kind of irritates you that like, didn't we just talk about this? But whatever. They do it and you slough it off, but you add it to that pile, right? You keep piling it up and piling it up because communicating about it has now just turned into arguments. Communicating is not sitting down and listening to what the other person says, caring about their feelings, and wanting to make sure that you don't do that again. You've passed that point, right? Because that person's not listening to you. Your feelings aren't being paid attention to and healed in any way. So why am I going to give that to you, right? It's a back and forth. No, nobody wants to admit when they're wrong, because when you have so much anger and resentment towards someone, you're going to justify anything that you can of why it's okay that you're doing what you're doing, right? Girls are real good at that. Real good at that. Guys too. I'm not, but girls are really good at that, okay? So you do, you build these piles and whatever. So now, a few months have gone by and the rug just gets shook, right? Typically, it usually is like when you guys have like a really fun night planned out. You're going to go to dinner and then a movie maybe afterwards. Pretty much the movie, you guys aren't even speaking to each other, because by the time you got to dinner, it's like, so how's this going? How's that going? And your conversation is like, I don't even know what we're talking, like what do we even talk about anymore, kind of thing. It's usually your kids, maybe work related, or whatever. And then whatever it is, you're definitely not going to talk about what the big problem is. You're going to just dance around it until you, boom, all of a sudden it blows up. By dessert, the big problem is laid out on the table, and you're talking about it and you're angry. And by the time you go to the movies, it's like, I'm not even talking to you. So you come home after date night, he was hoping to get laid, and you don't even want to look at him. That's pretty much how that's going to go. You don't even want to look at them now, right? And we do. This happens, but this happens in everybody's relationship. Okay, so if you're ever feeling as though like we look on Facebook, right? Look on Facebook, and or you go to girls' night, or you go out with your friends, and they're all chatting it up with you, and you have some problems or issues, and you want to speak about them, but as soon as you do, nobody else can relate to you, right? We've talked about that before and how that makes you feel, and it's like, this is awful. It's awful. So you start to think that there's something wrong with you, and there's nobody that you can reach out to or talk to. It's happening to everybody. It's happening to everybody, right? So every single day, it's happening to somebody else. I don't care how perfect someone's life is. I don't believe in perfection. I believe in progress, but I don't believe in perfection. So nobody's life is perfect. You are not alone in that. So, something that I always had issues and problems with, and I still have to struggle with, is learning to be able to take the criticism as it comes to me. When I feel so strongly about things, right, and whatnot, you want to protect that. You want to protect it, and you're not going to let anybody else's opinions in. But it's how are we protecting it? How are we putting? What's our responses? So that's what I need to work on. Is you start out with nice, and then you can go from nice to over the top real quick. So, that's something I think that we all need to work on. But I'll just call myself out because I have no problem doing that. So that way, if that's something that you can relate to, or that's a struggle for you as well, you're not alone in that either. So sometimes I do, you sit back and you go, man, I wish I didn't do that. But now you got to go back and you have to say you're sorry, or you have to go back and admit that. But you have to go back and admit that and say that to somebody who's not giving what you need in return. And that is hard. That is the hardest part. My dad always said, always told me, like, you be the bigger person. You be the bigger person no matter what. You always be the bigger person. And it's like, Dad, it's so hard. It's so hard. But, we teach our kids growing up, you treat others the way you want to be treated. So sometimes, after everything calms down and cools down, you sit there and think, did I treat that person, my spouse, my significant other, my friend, whoever, did I treat that person the way I would want to be treated? No, absolutely not. I did not do that. So we have to resort back to the stuff we teach our kids, at a younger age, and that was taught to us. And in those moments, just recognize your actions, recognize what you're doing and how you're communicating and what it might look from the outside looking in. Sometimes we let ourselves, our feelings and our emotions get the best of us. We can control who we are and how we react and what we do. We can't do it on the other side. But I know that feeling. I know that feeling when you're so angry and you feel like he or she doesn't give a shit about my feelings, so why am I going to sit here and care about yours? Oh, who's calling? Why am I going to do that? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So, anyways, I feel like that just is ruining everything for me currently. So I lost my train of thought. But I just want everybody to know, you're not alone, okay? You're not alone in whatever that struggle is. It happens to everybody. It's something that we all go through and we all struggle in our relationships. I don't care if you're, starting out as a preteen in a relationship, or you're 60, 70 years old and been married for however long, Everybody struggles with that. We're all going through that. So you're not alone in that. It's just how we react to it, right? It's what do we do with it now that we know. So in the conversation I was having with my friend the other day, we were talking about issues and stuff, and obviously we're both divorced as well. And, so when you hear about other people's problems or struggles in life, you want to jump in and you want to go, wait, I can help you. It's something that I did, and now looking back, or something I went through, and then looking back, how I could have done it differently. I know the struggle. I know the struggle, and I know what it feels like, and I just want everybody to know that, So I get it, and you're not alone. So everybody has a fabulous day. I'd love to talk more about this, but it's getting a little lengthy. We're almost at 10 minutes, And you guys are probably like, wrap it up. So I hope you have a fabulous day today. I will talk to you all super soon. Bye-bye.